welcome back, Better Everyday Podcast listeners. We have made it through COVID, or at least the first wave, and I have got my good friend and personal training client, Chris Smith, with me here today. How's it going, Chris?
It's going well, Brad. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, man. For you guys that don't know Chris personally, he is not only an awesome dude, but in the fitness profession that I work in, this guy has been extremely successful, and he's got an awesome journey, and I just wanted to get him on today and share with you guys his story, and then let him share with you all his mindset and just the obstacles he's overcome, and maybe it can be some tidbits and nuggets that you guys take with you down the road as you trying to get a little more physically and mentally fit. So, Chris, tell us about you, man.
So I'm a 40-year-old dad that been going down this fitness journey for a while now, and really, it's all been about just trying to be healthy, trying to live a longer life. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to live longer. As far as family history and stuff. Not everybody in my family lives into their 80s or even their 70s. And
right.
That's kind of a goal for me, right? That's a long-term goal that's going to take a lot of work to make sure that it happens. But, I work in IT, very sedentary type job where I'm, behind a desk a lot. I travel a lot for work, so it's hard to, continue with all of that while having to travel and keep the workouts in and everything like that. So it takes a lot of self-motivation, but just making sure that I'm there for my family is really the big picture of all of this for me. So
it's awesome trying to combat those genetics.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about your kids. How old are they?
So my daughter, Satota Joy, she is 10 years old, Ethiopian, beautiful baby girl, and my son is 18, Anton, or Tony, as most everyone calls him. And he is, he's out of school and turning into a man.
Getting into the workforce, apparently.
Exactly.
We've gotten to know them a little bit. Tony's worked out with us at Thunder Valley. Satota recently did our Fit Kids during COVID over the Zoom call with Melissa, and that was awesome. You can tell she comes from a dad in IT because she was so proper and formal in all the Zoom calls, raising her hand and just, knew when to mute and whatnot. And so tell us about your wife that you just had your 20-year anniversary with.
Yeah, 20 years with my beautiful wife, Karen. So she's an educator at ETSU. She directs the opera and teaches voice, and we've slowly but surely gotten more into fitness together and doing all of that. But, we've just, we're loving life together. So.
Awesome. Well, congrats on that anniversary.
Thank you.
And let's go ahead and dive into your fitness journey. Go ahead and share, what got you started working out and when you did that and what it looked like.
Sure. So, I guess years ago in 2007, 2008 timeframe, I had gotten really into this into IT and started working more jobs where it was just sitting behind a desk, and just started putting on the pounds and realizing that it wasn't how I wanted to really live my life. And so tried several things to kickstart off going into the gym and having a membership with different gyms in the area. Some success here and there, but nothing that was really long term. And then in 2009, my dad ended up having a stroke, 2009, 2010 timeframe, or maybe it was later than that. Anyway, so my dad has a stroke, and I just had this epiphany that I wasn't far behind that. My dad was only 63, 64 at the time, and it just kind of shocked me. It really hit me hard. And so after that, I started running. I felt like, hey, no better way to jumpstart than just focusing on doing cardio, running, and all of that. So I did that. I did a couch to 5K training program, and I ran my first ever 5K shortly after that, within 4 months of Dad having a stroke. It took me about 4 months, and I did that 5K. I think I did it in like 34 minutes, 35 minutes, something
Still
like
good,
that.
though.
And then from there, I kept running. I did I had some friends that I would basically just ask to hold me accountable, and kept running with them. And unfortunately, I guess it was probably 8 months in, running through the winter time, I got sick, and that just kind of, I'm one of those guys that I've just got to keep going. I've got to keep grinding, or I lose motivation and I'll stop. And so that's kind of what happened.
So was that just like a common cold flu, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those where I didn't really know how to breathe, I guess, in the winter, and I didn't have any face covering, and so I just ended up getting the flu that year, and it just kind of knocked me out for about 4 weeks, and I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, it's tough, taking a month off, they say sometimes can set you back up to 3 months in what you gained.
Yeah.
And even coming back from COVID and working out again, it's been tough for me because you get into a routine, and they say, I think if you do one less day a week, the odds of you getting back and bumping up to that number again the next week actually goes down. So there's a lot to be said about momentum. So I definitely can see why you had that struggle.
Yeah, so it was tough. Fast forward to now, it's tough when I travel, and if I'm my travel schedule, if I know I'm going to be gone for a week, or if I know I'm going to be gone for more than just a few days, when I get back, I know I immediately have to jump back into the gym. I've taken a red eye and come into the gym that morning after getting off of a plane, just because I know that I need to do that.
Right.
I need that workout because I need that motivation.
There you go.
Otherwise, I'm not going to do it, and then I don't have, and then it's a personal thing where I just, more or less, it's hard to get back in.
No,
after
I get
stopping.
I get it. So you have that month where you're sick, and so what happens next?
So basically, I tried a few more times to try and kickstart the running. I had stopped going to Lifestyles for a while, and then I went back into that and tried to do that again. Did it for another year, or had a membership for another year, and probably about 6 months into that, I just was like, I don't know, I just kind of gave up on it again, and didn't. I don't know. I just wasn't motivated to do anything, and just continue to, just work and do family stuff, but really didn't focus on my fitness at all.
Right. So from when you started in roughly 2008 until this point where you're seeing a little bit of burnout at the gym, did we lose any weight that stayed off of you? No. Okay.
I mean, I gained some muscle, and there was times where I felt like I'd gained some muscle from that perspective, but I was just a big guy, and when I think at my peak, when I finally, even working, when I fast forward to when I started working out at Thunder Valley, I mean, I felt like I was working out, I was doing all this, but I wasn't losing any weight.
Mm-hmm.
I was gaining some muscle, and that was good, but I wasn't really losing weight. And when you get on the scale, and we've had conversations about this in the past, but when you get on the scale and you don't lose any weight, it's somewhat demotivating. And so it's hard to, what am I doing all this for if I'm not losing any weight?
Right. I tell people all the time that there are people that lose weight doing CrossFit, but CrossFit by design is not a program that is going to help you lose weight. It's not a weight loss program. Right. Okay. CrossFit, you're going to train different energy systems. We're going to work on strength training, cardio and gymnastics, but it's more about reshaping your anatomy. Mm-hmm. And something that goes hand in hand with that is naturally diet. We can develop muscle, but until we lose weight, we're not going to see the muscle that we are actually creating. So we see members all the time that, and I can think of 5 to 10 people that are just maybe a 10-pound or less weight loss since they started, but there's considerable differences in their anatomy and how their body is reshaped. Yeah. So could have been an issue with you as far as why you're doing these extremely hard workouts and not seeing a lot of the change, or it could have been your diet. Maybe that was the case. So
I definitely think that it was my diet, because after a workout, I would just consume with no regard for what I was eating.
Okay.
And I had those conversations, several times. We had those conversations several times. I just wasn't ready to change the way I was eating.
Yeah.
for quite a while. So
Yep. So, I look back. I was checking it out here. You started with Thunder Valley in September of 2016, and I specifically remember this one. It was the end of a workout, and you basically were explaining the exact same scenario you just did a second ago, where I've been putting in the work and I'm not seeing any change, and it was almost like you were defeated. And I feel like you might have went on a small break from us at Thunder Valley, and I feel like if everything is correct with what I'm saying, I feel like you started back at the new facility.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so what got you back in the door there?
Well, so when I got back, it was somewhat motivation from other people saying, "Hey, you've got to, let's keep doing this." It was somewhat some other motivating factors. So my brother who lives in Texas, I hadn't heard from him in probably almost 8 months or so, and then he posts this picture on Facebook where he's like that's not my. I mean, he had lost a considerable amount of weight.
Like, how much are we talking?
At that point, he'd probably lost close to 90 pounds.
Wow.
And I had, I mean, and he's normally not on social media, he doesn't post, but so I mean, I talked to him, but he didn't mention one
thing about working out. All this underground training.
Yeah, he was nobody knew. I mean, my mom knew about it, but she didn't even say anything about what was going on. So next thing I know, he posts this picture, and he's like half of a person, and I was like, what the heck happened? And so it was really, I realized that, and so there was part motivation from that. So I start, I'd probably started working back out at Thunder Valley after that, or before that, but really it was like, okay, if he can do it. I've always been the real go-getter type, right in the family, and so college.
You were ticked.
Yeah, and so that was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, and it's
What's he doing?
It's easy to look at people at the gym and be like, oh, that's just their genes, or I'm genetically not made up that way.
Yeah, I had those conversations plenty.
But this is your brother.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
yeah,
I can do this too.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was probably almost probably a year after seeing that I remember almost like it was yesterday. I was about to get on a flight home, and my brother, he had actually switched to a Whole Foods plant-based lifestyle, and he just said, Chris, I just challenge you to do it. Do it for 12 weeks. And
when was that? I roughly remember that.
So this would have been in December of 2017.
Okay.
December of 2018.
Okay.
December of 2018, and so I remember what he told me there was this movie on Netflix that he wanted me to watch, this documentary, Forks Over Knives, and so I watched that on the way home, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know if I want to do that. And so it was probably another month later, in January, February of 2019, that I said, okay,
what's there to lose? Weight?
Yeah. 12 weeks,
yep.
Right? I can do anything for 12 weeks.
Yep. Now, you basically overnight became a vegan.
I just said, because I'm one of those kind of all in or nothing type guys, right? We're either going to do it or we're not. So there wasn't this, hey, have a cheat day once a week type, It's like, nope, we're just going to do it. So I think I probably ticked Karen off a little bit, because I went to the grocery store, bought all this stuff, brought it home. She was like, we have that. But I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I did all this meal prep and did all this other stuff, and said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So that was kind of this just, what else do I have to lose type moment. And so started doing that, and just changed my mindset to, if I'm gonna demand myself to be fit, and if I'm going to go down this journey, then I'm going to make it a whole life change.
Right. You're not just going to do the diet and
Right.
not the exercise, or just
Exactly.
the exercise and not the diet.
That's exactly right.
Got you.
It had to be a full decision to make that change. And it wasn't just I went into it thinking I'll do this for 12 weeks, but during that first 12 weeks, I realized it can't just be the next thing. I can't just be the next thing that I'm going to try. It has to be a true lifestyle change
Mm-hmm.
and a mindset change that, hey, this is what it's going to take to live longer, live healthier, to experience the same results that my brother experienced. I mean, my brother was diabetic. He was doing insulin shots. He was, he was on high blood pressure, cholesterol. He had all these medications. I think he was taking like 9 pills a day.
Mm-hmm.
I was on high blood pressure medication, and I thought that was a failure for me because my brother had been on blood pressure medication since he was like 28.
Right.
I didn't start blood pressure medication until I was in my, early 30s. And it was like, I don't want to do this. And
Right.
so, and so during all of that, my brother, after doing this for a year, is on nothing. He's
That's
no longer
awesome.
diabetic, no shots, no medication at all. And he ended up dropping, I think it was all told, it was like 120 pounds. He went from 360 all the way down to right under 200 pounds. So that's more than
160.
Yeah, 160 pounds. I mean, now he did all of that while walking, changing the way that he ate. And then now he's bulking back up and working out, and so he's floating right around that 220 range. But I mean, he looks amazing, and so that's a lot of motivation for me. And it's actually strength. It's funny how it's strengthened our relationship, given us more to talk about
Mm-hmm.
in that. And so it's been really interesting on how that strengthened the family bond.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. You guys are basically doing it together, even though you are, several states apart.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about all the feel-good stuff. Let's talk about some of the struggles once you started that 12 weeks.
Sure. Really, what was hard about all of it was there's a lot of work that goes into, I mean, when you have a job like I do where you're on a plane twice a month, and you're sitting in front of clients and you're entertaining clients, and sometimes you don't even get to order what you eat. Sometimes they just bring it out because that's just the nature of the business that we're in, where it's hard to not just indulge in what's going on and try to be around all of that while focusing on what
Your
I've
goal
set
is.
my mindset
Yep.
to, right? The goal that I'm trying to achieve. And so there were plenty of times where I guess the way to explain it is almost kind of felt lonely, right? I mean, it's like I was just doing this on my own. It was my own thing. But my determination for success was higher than that feeling of loneliness, right?
Right.
Or that feeling of, you're all on your own doing this. And I think that's kind of what pushed and drove me through this. Now, there were other times when working out, maybe as an injury or things like that, where it just hurt,
Mhm.
or it didn't feel good, or, but it was during those times that through the coaching at Thunder Valley and the friendships that I've made there and all of that it helped kind of push me through those struggles.
You were getting nudged and supported.
Exactly. Well, and encouraged. Like, it's okay to have setbacks. It's okay to, there's been so through this, I've hit several plateaus in my weight loss. I'm in one right now, and it's hard to push through it, right? But in those plateaus, having the right people around you, the right coaching, the right friends, the right motivators, right? Remembering why I started this, remembering what my goal is, and keeping my eyes fixed on that. I'm not in this to lose 10 pounds. I'm not just trying to lose weight. My goal is to make sure that I am living a longer life, that I'm there for my kids, and that has to become a real motivator, because some people will say that, and I've said it in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in this for my kids. I want to be there for my kids. I want to be able to walk my daughter down the aisle when she gets married someday. I want to be able to play with my grandkids. But it has to become real. It has to become a real
Right.
driver for why you do what you do.
Yep. A goal without action is a wish.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's talk about you get through those 12 weeks, and then what happens next? Are you progressively losing weight? Or?
So in those 12 weeks, I probably lost 20 pounds just by changing the way that I was eating.
Were you happy with your return on investment?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I was very well. I mean, the people were noticing, the weight loss. What's going on? What are you doing? And after that 12 weeks, I realized, and this sounds crazy because I'm a country bred boy from Texas, right? I grew up on brisket and beef and all of that, so, but I didn't really miss meat.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. The only thing that I missed really out of it all was brisket, and I only had that few and far between because it's hard to get good brisket in Tennessee, right? So I didn't really miss doing it the way that I researched it, and the videos that I'd watched, and looking at all the recipes and everything like that were out there. My wife is an amazing cook too. That probably has a lot to do with it, and she was on board with it, and we were doing it together. And so it just got to a point where it was like, all right, let's keep going. I saw results with weight loss. I was able to eat some amazing food and recipes that didn't involve meat. I made sure that I was doing it in a way that I was still consuming enough food to where I was full, and doing it in that way, and paying. I hate counting calories. I hate trying to watch all of that, right? But I knew that I had to do some of that, at least until I kind of got used to it.
Right.
And so it was just, again, it was a mindset thing of putting my mind on the goal and trying to reach the goal that helped me continue after the 12 weeks.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So you and I started working together on a one-on-one basis in October of 19. Is there anything like from that 12 weeks that you finished the vegan lifestyle, that you just created to October that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing up until October that I felt like, okay, I've gotten to this point. I think I was in the middle of a pretty big wall. I think I was trying to get over that 290 mark, and I kept fluctuating. 290, I'd go up to 298, I'd get back to 290, but I couldn't break that wall. And I think I came to you and I said, I feel like I need to do something else. Like I need more coaching. There's something in here that I'm not able to figure out on my own, and I need help.
Yep.
So that brought me to that point.
Yep. So the body is a creature of habit, and so when we're in the midst of our plateaus, it needs change, and your body will change if you're introducing bad or good habits to it. So I know you and I sat down and we really dove deep into what your diet looked like on a weekly basis and whatnot, and we've messed with a lot of different things. I'm not a person that is like, this is the know all be all diet that a person needs to do. It really varies person to person, and I used to feel and have that thought process with CrossFit, but even over the years, I've realized that you've got to evolve fitness, and you've got to. We at Thunder Valley, we didn't have to. We began offering new forms of fitness to help more people, but we've messed around with intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
We've brought some protein back into your diet, some calorie restriction, food timing and speeding up your metabolism, because I know you did have periods where you would look down at your watch and be like, it's 2:00 and I'm not eating today. So, for you listeners, like, we've done a lot of different things to help him get through those plateaus, and it's worked really well. Obviously, you got to have a compliant individual you're working with, and it's been awesome to see you have success. So since, Chris started in October, we've went with a 38-pound weight loss is what I've counted.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And naturally, as everybody knows, we had 2 months where the gym was closed, and that's kind of something I wanted to talk about today is, you and I had worked together 4 or 5 months pre-COVID, but those 2 months were awesome that we had via Zoom doing personal training 3 days a week at 6:30 in the morning. There's a lot of personal growth and development there. You want to kind of share what that looked like and how in the world does a person have success during a pandemic? There were about 10 to 15 of you at the gym that really, like, for some reason or another, took it to the next level during the pandemic. And it's just, I don't understand it, but maybe you can give some insight.
Like I said, my job that I have now requires me to travel a lot. And there were times where I was just on a plane and I would, even during our personal training, I'd take a picture or whatever, send you a list of what was at the hotel, and you would say, okay, do this. And I would try to do that. And sometimes I would do it, and sometimes I wouldn't. I would just go to my next meeting. And so when the whole pandemic thing hit and they shut all my travel down, I took it as an opportunity to, hey, I'm going to be able to focus on working out. And then the gym kind of shut down from going into the gym and they offered these remote classes, and I'm like, all right. But that I was doing them, but I wasn't doing them as much as I would like. And so I came to you and I said, hey, I need more motivation. I want to continue this. And looking at the long-term goal, looking at the short-term goal. The short-term goal is to continue to lose weight. I think originally I had set my goal at 210, and we've adjusted that to get down to 230. And so I wanted to continue to see success, and knowing myself, that if I'm not motivated by others, or if I'm not able to be around others, being an extroverted individual, there are certain parts of my life where I feed on the energy of other people, and you can only get so much energy from a group Zoom meeting, right?
Right.
And so, I knew that I needed that kind of extra step, and so that's when I asked you, hey, can we do individual Zoom meetings? And so, mornings where I've got my phone and I'm running, and you're coaching me through that, right? It came down to, am I going to capitalize on the opportunity that was at hand? And really, that opportunity was, you're not traveling. You can continue to work out. I've got equipment at home. What's it going to take to get me down there to continue to push towards the goal?
Yeah.
And so it was the encouragement of my friend and coach. It was watching the decisions that the business had made, and by the business I mean Thunder Valley, and that team had made to go that extra mile in offering services to us as gym members. It blew me away. The care and the passion to see, it wasn't just about keeping the business running. It was truly about focusing on the goals and the successes of the client and the members of the gym. And that impressed enough in me it drove me to want to be a part of that. Even if I was on the receiving end of that, I wanted to be, and yes, I maintained weight during that time, but I had successes in many other in many other areas. I actually picked running back up again, and I've got some goals there that we're trying to hit. But during this, I think what motivated me, besides the fact that I was at home and I could focus on it, I needed an out. I needed, because I'm working in my home office. I've got my family there and all of that. I needed a release, for myself, and that was working out. But also just the one of the motivating things during this time was truly, being motivated by the decisions that the business was making, and just wanting to be a part of that. And so that helped push me and drive me during the pandemic.
Well, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. We're just trying to provide a service for what people are paying for, and we were just grateful for the support we had in the midst of all that. People pay to physically in person be coached, and we weren't able to do that. But it's just what you got to do.
Yeah.
So I think I'm always a firm believer that adversity brings out the best in people. So, but yeah, man, let's talk about this half marathon you're doing in September that we're working on.
Yeah. So I really enjoy running, but being a bigger guy, I'm 6'2". I've always been, on the heavy side. And so, my knees are always probably the first thing. My ankles are the second thing to start hurting, but I actually enjoy running. For a big guy, I really love cardio. I really enjoy that aspect of working out. Lifting weights and heavy weights and stuff is fun, but I think during this time we also kind of figured out that I've got, muscle elasticity is not really in me.
Right.
Being able to do things for long periods of time is not in me. And so I think it was during that time that we're kind of talking about that, really trying to understand that earlier on this year, as we're doing the personal training, that I realized, I want to start running again because I want to help. I want to increase my endurance. And so I just out of the blue, I think I just set a goal that said, I want to run a half marathon, and I want to run it in this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just, there wasn't anything driving it. It was just, I want to do it.
Something to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pre-COVID I think your first time you went out running was a 10:44 mile.
Yeah.
And now you're down to an 8:27.
Yeah.
So we've shaved 2 minutes and 17 seconds off in 10 weeks.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, the longest you'd ran pre-COVID was 5 miles, and now we're up to 8. So
Yeah.
you're trending well for that September, third week of September run?
Yeah. I think that's
provided that, we don't have a second wave and
Exactly.
the world's back to normal, or so they say. So, dude, I'm proud of you. You've done well. Your mindset's unbelievable. I'm proud of you. You came a long way.
Thank you.
So-
Well, you're not paying me to say this, but you know how I feel about Thunder Valley and about you as a coach, and that goes a long way too. For anyone that listens to these, I'll be a commercial and just say that Thunder Valley Fitness is phenomenal. It requires the motivation of the person doing the exercise, but you guys just number one, you make people, you meet people where their fitness journey is. You're not trying to get them to do something that they're not capable of doing, or something that you're trying to make everybody do because you're trying to make have this big image. It's not about that. It's truly about the individual. And I've been to a lot of gyms where they just let you come and consume, and there's no real motivating factor. And you guys don't really, you want people to not just come and consume, but come and be a part of, as many people say, it's a family, and so that motivates me all the more.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as you say you're proud of me and you'd appreciate that, I extend that back to you and say I appreciate the Thunder Valley family.
I appreciate that. One of the things I hear all the time is I have to get in shape to go work out there. Yeah. And that is actually the biggest misconception there is. We don't want to work with people in shape. We want to help people get in shape. So, and then, and a second thought there is just completely lost my train of thought, Leighton. And so we'll just edit that part out right there. But
Sorry, I'm gonna throw you off.
it's all good. But Chris, man, it's been awesome having you on today. Is there anything you want to wrap up and say? For people that maybe are nervous or wanting to start a fitness journey, something you could share with them to get them going, or
You just got to start. You just got to. Life is about taking one foot, putting one foot in front of the other, and taking that next step. And continuing to take a step after step after step. I mean, we call it walking, but, walking through life, eventually maybe you start jogging and maybe you'll go from jogging to running. Find people that motivate you and motivate you well. Life's too short to not be motivated by people that care about you and that want to see you be successful. And so that's what I see as a good fitness journey is just taking that next step. You don't have to PR. You don't have to, crush big numbers. You just got to take that step. So just do that.
Cool, man. Well, guys, get moving. And Chris, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Looking at getting back to a regular schedule so you guys can expect to see more of the Better Everyday podcast coming up. Thanks.